Welcome to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast, where today we're going over UFC Vegas 87, Gaziev versus Rozenstruik. First things first, make sure you give this video a like, hit the subscribe, give a follow over on Twitter, over on TikTok, over on Instagram, wherever there's social media. There's the Stats and Stacks podcast. And honestly, last week could have been the best week ever. However, we got fucked, man. We were on the wrong side of everything. We had Victor Altamirano split decision as a glory play. It went to a split and it went to the wrong man. Got absolutely fucked. We had a whole bunch of parlays that had Matos Mendoza. I don't know how the hell he lost that fight, got screwed there. Luckily, we did have Raw Dog came through for us, but we had Manuel Torres come through for us. We had every single pick right outside of those two, and those were two of the greasiest calls. Those were the two greasiest calls on the entire card. So, man, we literally could have went 100% on the card, but we got absolutely fucked by the judges. And honestly, this week I came in very confident into this week, and then all these fights started falling off, and all hell started breaking loose with this card. There's like three short notice replacements. We have guys that never actually fight because their fights always get canceled. We're all over the place. So this went from a good bounce back. I mean, it wasn't a terrible week last week, but I was very confident in this week. I'm now shook. I don't know what's going on with this week. There's a lot happening. So a lot of chalk, so much chalk, so many parlays gonna get busted. This has all the potential to be a terrible, terrible week because you don't trust some of these dogs. But some of this chalk, they're not trustworthy favorites, and these lines are just out of control. So let's just try to navigate this. It's a UFC card prior to a pay-per-view. Again, the ones before and after pay-per-views are usually pretty rough, and this is no different. So at the end of the day, let's just navigate it and try to make some more money like last week. So, first fight of the night, we just start with craziness. The very first fight, we have Loic Radzhabov at plus 150, going up against Abdul Kareem Al Sawadi at minus 165. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 at minus 165. Under 2.5 at plus 130. Let's start with Al Sawadi because I don't think he's that good. First and foremost, he's coming off of Contender Series, and we don't like trusting Contender Series as huge favorites in their very first fight if they fight anyone decent. He's 28 years old, so he's entering the prime. Again, it's his debut. He's at Fortis MMA. I do like that. That's a good camp, and they're surging right now. He throws good volume on the feet, but he doesn't like hit you a ton. He'll throw stuff out there nonstop, but it's just not very powerful. His wrestling's okay. You see him utilize it on the regional scene. I will give him that he was on a good regional scene. He was over at UAE Warriors, I believe. He was in, sorry, he was at Fury FC. He was in LFA, Brave FC. All of those are pretty decent. A lot of Brave. And Brave is a pretty good regional scene, in all honesty. So, I mean, he did have a good regional scene, at least I guess you could say he had a good regional scene career. He prefers to counter though. He just throws stuff out there, not a lot of power. The only power strikes he throws are counters. And he will sit back a little bit and wait for you to come to him. He prefers to just circle and back up. He never goes forward. He always just circles, circles, circles. You throw and he counters. You throw and he counters. He'll throw a few at you to draw you into him so that he can counter. So yeah, he throws a lot of volume in hindsight, but when you really look at it, it's with intent, not a ton, to be honest with you. Um, Biggest thing, he has good cardio. I'll give him that. He's a short jack guy, and you wouldn't think he'd have good cardio. He does. The biggest problem with him is his chin. He's chinny. He's very chinny. In fact, he has three career losses. He has a shiny 15-3 record. All three of his losses are by KO. And there have been other fights in his wins where I saw him cracked and just grab a hold of them and then go ahead and get the job done and finish the fight. So yes, I've seen him cracked multiple times, sometimes dropped, sometimes put all the way out. And that's just not a good look, especially because he hasn't made it to the UFC yet. So all three of his losses are by KO, and they're all on the regional scene. You shouldn't be getting KO'd three times on the regional scene. If you do, your chin might be a little bit of an issue. And he also seems to struggle with people that just pressure him, just pressure forward. Again, he likes to circle, but if you cut him off, he panic wrestles. He likes to wrestle on the regional scene, on the Dana White Contender Series, I don't think he shot against George Hardwick at all. But at the end of the day, he just wanted to circle, 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 counter. And if you pressure this dude, he panics. He doesn't like when you cut him off, and he just shoots a double leg, like he shoots a panic double. On the other side, we have Loic, who is no spring chicken. He's 33 years old. He's fighting out of Kill Cliff FC, so I do like that camp. He also has a good background, not necessarily a great regional scene, but he fought for PFL. And unlike some of these other guys that fought like one fight in PFL and then ended up going somewhere else, he was in PFL for a while. And he was fighting the best PFL had to offer. He was fighting Natan Schultz, a few-time winner, and that was in the finals. In all honesty, he fought Chris Wade. Chris Wade's really good. He's fighting good guys over at PFL, so he's very, very experienced. He is a pressure fighter. He is in your face nonstop. Again, his schedule is okay. His striking's not the greatest. He's pretty low volume, but he hits decently hard. Not a lot of technique, but everything is 100% power. His wrestling's good, and he will lean on his wrestling from time to time. He's one of these Turkestan fighters that just come in, pressure you, and just don't stop. He gets awfully tired in his fights, but he doesn't stop throwing. He's one of these guys that, when gassed, will continue to go, continue to throw. Again, he's a little hittable with that style, so he is there to get hit, but he pushes through. He's awfully durable. I know that he's been dropped multiple times, but he's never been fully put out. So at the end of the day, he has his limitations. He's 33 years old. We've seen the finished product, and he's not going to get too many wins in the UFC. We saw him lean on his wrestling against Esteban Ribovic for a win. Good on him. He got 11 takedowns there. His next fight, he got absolutely starched by Mateusz Rebecki. But Abdul is not Mateusz Rebecki. Here's the deal. El Sawadi should probably win this fight just on sheer volume. Circle, 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 and just keep jabbing him, keep him at bay. The only reason I'm concerned is because Loic pressures forward and hits extremely hard, and Sawadi is a little chinny. Secondly, Sawadi loves to counter. And we see this time and time again. All he wants to do is counter. Loic is very low volume, so I don't know what the fuck he's countering. I don't know how he's going to counter and land clean shots if Loic isn't throwing anything. So he's going to have to fight uncharacteristically, throw more at him. Maybe even he try. Now he's not going to be able to progress forward. He's going to have to fight uncharacteristically and throw stuff out there. And I'm very concerned that if he's not just counter striking, that he gets caught doing something he's not typically doing. Other thing, his panic wrestling. If he's getting pressured and he's getting pushed backwards and he goes to shoot that double leg and Loic, who is a good wrestler, does not go down, I don't like that at all. So Sawadi should win this fight. He has the better cardio, he's the better volume. But if Loic clips this guy, if Sawadi can't take him down when he needs to, when he's getting pressured too hard, Loic might put him away. So for that reason, I'm not going to trust the debuting fighter. Loic's in his third fight. He's fought the better level of competition, and he has the plus sign next to him. So the pick is going to be Loic. The bet's going to be Loic. You can't counter strike someone that doesn't fucking throw. Good luck. Next fight of the night, we have another late minute replacement here. That last one wasn't late minute. This one is. We have Vinicius Oliveira. He was initially minus 150, and Bernardo Sopas was initially plus 130. But what I see is that it's a straight pick 'em now, which is very, very interesting here. Let's start with Bernardo, because there's not a lot on this kid. He's young. He trains at All Stars, which is that gym over in Sweden where you have Alir Latifi, Hamzat Chimiev. You have God, Volkan Ozdemir. Some pretty decent stable out there at All Stars Gym. Now he's taking this fight on short notice, but mind you, he had a fight scheduled for the 9th of March. So he was training. He was already in the gym. He was already in fight camp. He's just fighting a week early. But so he's probably going to be in shape. The last week of fight camp, you're just cutting weight. So he's honestly already in shape here. He's 23 years old, so he's green. And you see it in his fight style. Like, he's not bad. He's good everywhere. He has good striking. He has good wrestling. He has good jujitsu. He's legitimately a true martial artist. Like, he's good absolutely everywhere. It's that new breed where they don't have just a wrestling base, and then they'll just jab once in a while or work on their striking, work on their jujitsu. This new breed comes up training mixed martial arts in its entirety, and they are just well versed everywhere. And that's exactly what this kid is. His cardio seems to check out. His level of competition, I wish it was a little better. And he is a little bit hittable at times, but at the end of the day, he's your general 23-year-old UFC debutant. He's good everywhere. He's not bad anywhere. He's awfully durable. I've seen him dropped a few times, but again, he has never gone out. And he's just good, not great. And he'll learn and he'll get better and better as time progresses. On the other side, we have another guy that's not super old. Vinicius is only 28 years old. He's coming off of Dana White Contender Series where he got a really quick knockout, I believe. Yep, left hook 3 minutes in against Victor Madrigal. He's also making his debut. He has a pretty good schedule of competition, though. He's the one that was fighting over at UAE Warriors, fighting Elite Taleb, who's an absolute killer, fighting Adrian Ramos, fighting Christian Quiones. Like all these guys are, or Adriano Ramos. All these guys are very, very, very good. Um, at the end of the day, he is good striking. He's very athletic. It's not that he is very technical striking on the feet. He is just a massive, massive bantamweight, and he is just an athletic freak. In all honesty, he kind of reminds me of like a Vitor Petrino, where he's not overly fast, he's not overly big or technical, but he's just the speed power combo, just athleticism. He out athletics you. He does like to counter a lot, and he prefers to counter. Problem is he's a little hittable along the way. So you'll get off 4 strikes so he can land one big one. He's just really cocky. I hate watching this guy fight. He's out there. If you swing a big hook and he ducks, he's the one that's like doing the look away or just doing dance moves along the way. Like I really hate watching this guy fight with all the taunting that he does. His cardio is okay. It's slow. He slows down a little bit because he's so huge and athletic and all the big movement, 100% power shots, but he'll go a full 15, no problem. He loves to pressure forward. Again, you're jabbing him to death as he's coming towards you, but it is what it is. And he, for someone that is very hittable, his chin's a little questionable. He's been knocked out multiple times. So, I mean, he himself has 3 losses, and all of them are by knockout. So, as he comes out here and he's very hittable and he's doing his dances every time you hit him, sometimes when you hit him and he starts dancing, you hit him again and he goes out. So, I don't know. He's not really to be trusted as a favorite. Problem is, this is now a pick 'em. So I was all over Bernardo as a dog, but he was not a dog long. This fight was announced this morning, and he's already pick 'em, and it's probably going to end up flipping. So I'll tell you what, the pick is going to be Vinicius, just because of he's fought the better level of competition, and I've seen Bernardo dropped a little too much for my liking. I know Oliveira is the one with the knockout losses, but Oliveira is a much larger man. And sometimes at this day and age, when you have a 28-year-old against a 23-year-old, sometimes size matters. But that I really like him if he's a dog. If he ends up being the favorite again, I'm probably just going to stay away from this fight. But if Vinicius ends up being the dog and this line completely flips, we've gone too far on the other end, and I will bet Oliveira. So the pick is going to be Oliveira. The bet's going to be Oliveira if he ends up being a dog. Next fight of the night is one of the only ones I feel fairly confident in, to be honest with you. We have Christian Leroy Duncan at minus 305 going up against Claudio Ribeiro at plus 240. Over under at 1.5, and it's a straight pick of minus 115 both ways. Let's start with CLD. People absolutely love this guy. I know he's like a Cage Warriors legend. Very, very good over on that regional scene of the world in England. He's a former like English basketball player, so not really your normal background for MMA, but just like Vinicius in the last fight, this dude just out athleticisms everyone. Like he's very athletic, he's very fast, he's very strong, he's very agile. Like he is just floating out there. He's gonna have a 2-inch reach advantage in this matchup. He has wonderful counters. Like he's very, very good at counter striking. I mean, just good striking in general. Very creative, a lot of crazy kicks. I remember the one time against Armin Petrosian where he turned his back sideways and started coming at him. Like, you don't know what the fuck he's going to do out there. He's very unpredictable, but he's awfully durable. And for 205, he has really good cardio. He'll go a hard 15, no problem. And he's not the greatest wrestler. And usually people try to take him down because he wants to strike. But he will mix in some offensive wrestling. He doesn't generally get it, but he will hold you up against a cage for a little bit, try to drain you, and then start striking technically again. He throws very high volume to go with his creativity. His jiu-jitsu is not the greatest, but again, he has a very, very, very good get-up game. And if you do manage to get him down, he has a lot of urgency to get back up. But I don't think it's going to matter in this matchup because he's fighting Claudio Ribeiro, who's also a striker. He has an 11-4 record, mainly because of his power. He's not the most technical striker, but he swings hard, man. Out of his 11 wins, God, how many of them are by knockout? Probably all of them. Literally looking at his record, they're all by knockout. This dude cracks. Again, CLD's never been knocked out, and he seems to have a good chin. I don't really even see him drop that much, to be honest with you. But he shouldn't let Claudio hit him because Claudio does hurt people. We saw him hurt Abdulrazak Al We saw him hurt Joseph Holmes. We saw him hurt Roman Kopylov. So even at the UFC level, in all three of his fights, he did crack the other guy, even though he lost in two of those. Biggest problem with Claudio is that he has 35% takedown defense. So again, CLD isn't the greatest wrestler. He'll try to mix it in. He might accidentally get the takedown, to be honest with you. Ribeiro's jiu-jitsu is not very good at all. His cardio's not very good at all. He has a 31% striking defense, so this dude is there to get hit. He's there to go out there and swing as hard as possible and just one hit your ass. But at the same time, he's not looking to block anything. He blocks punches with his face, and I would not recommend that against CLD. He has a little bit of durability issues too. I mean, out of his losses, he got KO'd. He got KO'd. Then he had got choked out. Then he went to a split decision. But both his losses in the UFC are by KO because again, he blocks punches with his face. So I don't know. He also prefers to counter, but it's going to be very tough to counter with CLD is a very good distance manager. He's in and he's out. He uses his athleticism. And again, that CLD dude floats in the octagon. It's a smaller octagon, so he's going to have less room to play with. But at least he has really good cardio and Claudio does not. So CLD is the better striker. He's the better wrestler. Honestly, probably the better jiu-jitsu practitioner. He has a better cardio. He's better everywhere. So the pick is going to be CLD. The bet is going to be CLD. That takes us to the next huge favorite. We have Javid Bashrat minus 700 going up against Ayman Zahabi at plus 500. I actually think the last time I checked, Javid was like minus 900. It's getting out of control. The over-under sitting at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 180. Under 2.5 plus 140. Let's start with Bashrat since he's minus 900. He's another one of these guys that is just good everywhere. He's good striking. He has good jiu-jitsu. He'll mix in his wrestling, and it's pretty decent, to be honest with you. He took down Tony Gravely a bunch. He's at a good camp at Extreme Couture. His little brother's in the UFC, and they train together in the same weight class, so he's always just thinking about fighting. He throws a ton of volume, really high volume. I've seen him clipped a lot, and he doesn't even get hurt. He doesn't even flinch. Like, he's awfully durable. Has a good chin on him. He loves to move forward with all that volume. He's 28, so he's in his prime, and he's 14-0. He's never tasted defeat. Like, there's literally nothing wrong with this guy outside the fact that you can counter him. I don't like that. But the fact that he literally hasn't flinched and is perfectly fine after you hit him, at least his chin is holding up. So again, great cardio, good striking, good wrestling. Good fight IQ. If he thinks he needs to wrestle you, he will. If he thinks he needs to outstrike you, he will. He does everything the right way. I have no negatives for Javid Bashrat. He's 14-0 for a reason. On the other side, we have Ayman Zahabi, who's not supposed to be here, but won't stop winning. He's 36 years old, so he is at the very tail end of his career. He himself has good striking. It's just his volume, man. It's really low. On paper, he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, but you never see it. I have absolutely no idea how his wrestling is because no one's really using it. Draco Rodriguez, he knocked out in 3 minutes, and Draco's not a good wrestler. Ricky Tercios is a terrible wrestler. Richie Lang, he knocked out in 1 minute, and he's not the greatest wrestler anyway. So he's not really Ricardo Ramos. At that point, it was 2017. He couldn't wrestle. Vince Morales can wrestle, but did not wrestle. He just went out there and outstruck Eamon Sahabi. And I don't like that because Vince Morales went out there and he outstruck him with volume, and he was durable. So Eamon wasn't able to one punch this guy. So if you can't go out there and just get outclassed by Eamon, he's in some trouble. That's how low volume he is. Eamon does not go forward. Eamon does not throw. He only counters. And if you don't throw, he doesn't throw. He will stare at you all day. He does not care. He will only counter strike. Again, Baccarat will go forward and he will throw a ton of volume. So Eamon should be able to counter a ton. He should have a lot to go off of. But is that going to gas him out? Is there a reason he's not throwing? He's 36 years old. How is his gas tank? I have no idea. He just circles the entire time and waits for you to counter. And Baccarat might just go out there and take his ass down. Like Baccarat can do it all. So again, Zahabi is the worst. Baccarat has the better striking. Let's even just say it's a wash. Say the striking's a wash. Baccarat has the better wrestling. The jiu-jitsu's a wash. But Baccarat's gonna have the volume, and he's durable enough to where if Eamon counters something, he should be perfectly fine and just stare at him. Yeah, give me the volume striker with the better wrestling all day, every day. The pick is going to be Baccarat, but you can't bet him at minus 140. Now, the start of his career, Baccarat finished everyone. He did not go to any decisions. In the UFC, he's done nothing but go to decision. So what do? You got to find a way to lower this. Minus 900's too much. You start looking at the over under. I'm flirting with that under 2.5 at plus 140. I think Javid is due for a finish. The last fight against Victor Henry, the ball kick, doesn't count as a finish. It's a no contest. But he's due. He's very, very due. So if anything, I would do Baccarat inside the distance, or I might just take that under 2.5 at plus 140 because you can pick Javid all day. I am not betting minus 900. Next fight of the night. You want to get nuts? Let's get fucking nuts. We have Ludovic Klein at minus 1,000 going up against AJ Cunningham at plus 600. Over under not out yet, as this is another last minute replacement. Let's start with the replacement there in AJ Cunningham. AJ Cunningham is not good. He's making his UFC debut. He's 11-3. He was on Dana White Contender Series and got absolutely killed by Steven. I can never say his last name. Nguyen. He's only 29 years old, so he's in his prime. It's going to be his debut on short notice, but most of his career is at 145. He lost in Contender Series. He went up to 155, beat a guy that was 8-10, and boom, he's back in the UFC. I don't know, man. He sucks. He's not good. He's a punching bag. He moves forward. He's durable as all fuck, but he's not going to stop coming forward. I know it says that he got knocked out in his Contender Series fight. He did, but he didn't go out. It was a mercy stoppage because that's how badly he was getting his ass beat. His face, he was unrecognizable. He's the cousins with Bryce Mitchell, so he does train with him all the time and has a little leeway. That's probably how he got back into the UFC to begin with. But his jiu-jitsu's good. Cousins with Mitchell and trains with him every day. He's also at Law School MMA, which is that gym over in Tennessee. And those fucking Tennessee boys are crazy. Training with Left Hand to God all day. You think of people like Trevor Peak, Nate Landwehr. All these guys are from Tennessee. They're all fucking crazy. They just march forward. They start talking. They don't believe in striking defense. They just know one thing: move forward and swing, and get some. If it hits the ground, be good at jujitsu. Outside of that, move forward and swing. That's all they know. That's literally all they know. He does throw a ton of volume. I'll give him that. And his cardio, he slowed down for sure. But he kept coming. Even he is one of these guys, when they're tired, they keep coming. I wish he would just lower his chin. When he marches forward, his chin is way in the air. When he swings his combination, his chin is way in the air. Steven was able to keep capitalizing and dropping his ass because he kept leaving his chin in the air. For the love of God, keep your chin down. Take your cousin Bryce's Bible, go out there and try to get a W. Okay. On the other side, yeah, he's just a zombie out there. On the other side, we have Ludovic Klein. Klein is a true. He also used to fight at 145, so we have two featherweights fighting at 155. I do like that. He was having some issues making 145. He's looked fine at 155. He has an inch and a half reach advantage here. He has pretty decent power. crazy left head kick. Like it's Pro Cop esque. But overall, good striking. His wrestling's okay, man. He'll mix in takedowns. We saw him get like 3 takedowns against Mike Trezano. We saw him get multiple takedowns against Mason Jones. He'll go out there and take you down, man. His jujitsu's not good at all, but he does takedowns. He's smart. He does takedowns at the end of the round to steal the fight, or sorry, to steal the round. That's exactly what he does. Um, yeah, he's nothing to write home about. But what I will tell you, is that he seems to struggle with one thing and one thing only: pressure. He doesn't like when you pressure him. When you look at his record, and here's the craziest part of his record, he just go by one. Shane Young, I vividly remember that fight being over in Australia, or not Australia, over it was during COVID over in Saudi Arabia. I vividly remember him being a plus 100 favorite. I remember betting him in his debut. He missed weight, went out there, head kicked the hell out of Shane Young, got the W, and Israel gave that post fight where if they missed weight, they need to get find more of their purse. I understand that, but it was because of Klein. Main story is he was a dog. He went out there and won. Because he got that impressive win, they then made him a favorite against Mike Trezano. I bet him, and Mike Trezano went out there and got the upset. They then had him as a favorite against crazy Nate Landwehr because you can never trust Nate as a favorite. He's too crazy. Nate went out there, gassed him out, choked him out. Round 3, he lost as a favorite again. They then lost faith in him. He took a fight on short notice up a weight class at 155, and he gave a career best and looked good and beat Devontae Smith as a dog. They then gave him Mason Jones at 155. Don't believe he's truly a lightweight. Think he only fought at lightweight because it was short notice. He went out there and he won as a dog. Then they gave him a long, lanky Bahamondes. Bahamondes is like a 24-year-old credentialed kickboxer, super long. The thing is, how do you head kick someone that's so tall your leg can't physically reach him? Your best weapon is your head kick, and you can't head kick the striker. What are you going to do? He went out there and outpointed him as a dog. So effectively, this man has been the favorite twice, and he lost both times. He's been a dog 4 times. He's won all 4 times. Right now, he is a favorite. And not only is he a favorite, he's a minus 1,000 favorite. And who is he fighting? AJ's not good. AJ Cunningham sucks. He is not good. But I need you to remember, he has fought AJ Cunningham before in the form of Nate Landwehr. Nate Landwehr is a pressure fighter with good jiu-jitsu who pressures forward, blocks punches with their face, and is crazy from Tennessee. AJ Cunningham is a pressure fighter who marches forward with good jiu-jitsu, who is a wild man from Tennessee. We saw this fight. And Klein lost. Not a fucking chance in hell. I bet Klein at minus 1,000. So fuck it. Put your balls on the table. I will be betting AJ Cunningham. I don't feel good about it. Don't get me wrong. I do not feel good about it. But there's no way you trust Klein. And if you really want to get nuts, I might take AJ Cunningham by sub. That is going to be a pretty number when those props come out. You want to get crazier? Maybe I'll look at round 3 sub. Maybe I will look at that Nate Landwehr fight and think it plays out the exact same way. Don't get me wrong. Klein might come out there and kick his head off in round 1, and I look like the dumbest man on the planet. However, at these odds, I will take those long shot odds any day of the week. So the pick is going to be Klein. He should go out there and kick his head off. AJ Cunningham is not good. However, AJ Cunningham is the exact thing that handed LeDevitt Klein his second ever loss in the UFC. Maybe it happens again. I'll be there. Next fight of the night, we have your boy Eric Anders at minus 500 now. Jesus Christ. Going up against Jamie Pickett at plus 340, over under at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 145, under 2.5 at plus 115. I don't even know who to start with. Let's start with Eric Anders. Eric Anders is okay. He's actually looked better the longer he's gone. He looked really good at Fight Ready. He left Fight Ready, but it still looked pretty good recently. He has good striking. We saw him go toe to toe with oh my God, what is wrong with me? With Canadian power bar, Marc Andre Barrio recently. Jeez. He has pretty decent power. His jujitsu's okay. His wrestling's okay. He's a little hittable. I'm not a fan of that. But he does always just pressure forward and throw bombs at you. He's fought some pretty good guys in his career. He fought Lyoto Machida. He fought Thiago Santos, Khalil Rountree, Christoph Jocko, Andre Muniz, Jung Young Park. Like all these guys are a hell of a lot better than Jamie Pickett. Problem is he lost to all of those guys. So he's gonna be the one. He's essentially a gatekeeper. He's good everywhere, not great anywhere. Okay cardio. He slows down for sure. But it's okay. His cardio is serviceable. And if you're a top 15 guy, you beat Eric Anders. If you're not, if you're Darren Stewart, if you're Gerald Mearshart, if you're Kyle Dawkins, he's gonna go out there and he's gonna start you. So if you're ready, you beat him. If you're not, you lose. What is Jamie Pickett? Jamie Pickett's ass. Jamie Pickett's not good at all. Pickett has okay striking, I suppose, but he has a 13-10 record. He has pretty bad cardio. His pretty bad striking defense. He's pretty low volume. Wrestling is not that good. His jujitsu is very questionable. He's very hittable. So I don't know where the positives are. I mean, his takedown defense, it's a 69% takedown defense. Not the greatest number. It's not like you breathe on him and he goes down, but someone like Eric Anders may be able to get him down. I'm not saying Jamie Pickett's fragile at all, but he has been knocked out quite a few times here with Dennis Tululian. He got choked out by Kyle Dawkins. He got choked out by Bo Nickel. He got knocked out by Jordan Wright. He seemed like he was unfinishable, and then he got to the UFC, and turns out you can finish him. Charles Bird choked him out. That's not a good look. His jiu-jitsu is really, really bad. I honestly don't hate Anders by sub here. I really don't. But at the end of the day, Anders is going to be the way I have to lean. Is Anders good? No, I don't like him at minus 500. But Jamie Pickett fought Bo Nickel when no one else would. So they promised Jamie Pickett another fight. Basically, they're giving him another fight because he fought Bo. They gave him Josh Frem. And it didn't go his way, but they gave him another fight here as a thank you for fighting Bo. He's on a 4-fight losing streak. He's going to hit number 5, and he's going to be cut. The pick is going to be Eric Anders. The bet's going to be Eric Anders. Next fight of the night, we are looking at Matt Danger Schnell at plus 255 going up against Steve Astro Boy Urseg minus 310. Over under sitting at 1.5 for a flyweight fight. Flyweight unders, man. Over 1.5 is minus 130, under 1.5 at plus 100. Let's start with Steve Urseg, because I was one of the first ones on Steve Urseg. I love Steve Urseg. Astro Boy's the man. He has really good jujitsu. Honestly, that's the best part of his game. But his wrestling's pedestrian. It's not good. It's not bad. Australians aren't known for their wrestling. So he doesn't get to utilize what he's best at all the time. But his striking's serviceable to where it doesn't matter. He has good striking on the feet. I would say he's durable. He's never been knocked out. But I have seen him cracked a few times, especially in that Costa fight. Costa dropped him twice pretty badly. I've seen him rock multiple times, honestly, but he seems to stay with it. Can you take him down? Yeah, he's only has a 77% takedown defense, but again, that's not bad. It's nearly 80%. He has really good cardio. That's the best part of his game. Worst part of his game is that he's unathletic. Like he's just I talked about how Vinicius is just an athletic freak. This dude's the complete opposite. He's not very physically imposing. He has a good fight IQ. I'll give him that. He knows how to move around and navigate. But man, he's very unassuming, and he kind of fights like he doesn't have a ton of power. He does not move his head. That's the reason he keeps getting fucking dropped. He has zero head movement. He does not believe in moving his head. He really trusts his chin, but he does not move his head. And again, I say he doesn't hit very, very hard. He's more of a Conor McGregor timing guy. Conor doesn't hit hard, but he times it perfectly. It's precision over power, and that's kind of how Steve Ursig is. You catch anyone at the right time, at the right motion, at the right angle, you're going to put them out. And that's kind of how Steve is. It's precision over power. And he loves to move forward. On the other side, we have Matt Danger Snell. I'm a Matt Snell fan, man. He's 34 years old, so I don't like that. 1.5 inch reach advantage. That's good. Good striking, very good striking. He is very fast. I talked about how Steve is very unathletic and kind of slow. Matt has probably the fastest hands at flyweight. Like his hands are insanely fast. I hate the side eye thing. It's gonna drive you crazy as you're watching him fight. He turns his head all the way to the side. He has to have astigmatism or something because this is the way he looks at you. Then he goes forward. He has a good schedule though. He's fought Alexandre Pantoja. He's fought Brandon Royval. He's fought Mateus Nicolau. He's fought Manel. Did he fight Manel Cop? Sorry, he fought Rob Font, Tim Elliott in the Ultimate Fighter. He's fought really, really, really good guys. Just like before with Eric Anders, he's losing to them, though. He's losing to Pantoja. He's losing to Tim Elliott. He's losing to Rob Font, Brandon Royval, Nicolau. He's lost to all of them. Now, don't get me wrong. He has some okay wins. Sumaderji's okay. Tyson Nam's an okay win. Louis Smoka was thought to be an okay win. So, again, if you're top 15, you probably beat this guy. If you're not top 15, you don't. What is Astro Boy? I think Astro Boy's top 10. I love Astro Boy. I think he's very, very good. But styles make fights. Now, Matt is very hittable, and his biggest flaw is the fact that he's chinny. Not only is he losing to these guys, Pantoja, current champ, mind you, knocked him out. Rob Font, top 5 guy at bantamweight now, knocked him out. Hector Sandoval, not the greatest, knocked him out. You look at Brandon Royval, subbed him. Mateus Nicolau knocked him out. So yeah, he has 7 career losses and he's been knocked out in 5 of them. Not a good look. Not a good look at all. Very hittable, very chinny, and he does rock a 46% takedown defense. This probably is the type of guy Steve Erceg can take down. So that's also not good. But his jiu-jitsu's fine. I think he should be able to stay safe. So this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the over. And I'm looking at the over for 2 reasons. Because styles make fights. If they are on the feet, Matt Schnell is so fucking fast. He is going to dance circles around Steve Erceg unless Steve Erceg can put him out. Weirdest thing is Tyson Nam is the hardest puncher in the flyweight division, and he didn't put Schnell out. But other people did. Very peculiar. But at the end of the day, on the feet, I give advantage Snell. Snell's the better striker. He's the faster man. And I think he outpoints him on the feet. If this hits the ground, because Steve is a smart guy and he decides to just take him down. Snell is also a black belt. I know Royval tapped him out, but he doesn't normally get tapped out. So at the end of the and Raw Dog's the GOAT. So at the end of the day, I think he can stay safe. And I'm looking at this over 1.5 being minus 130. I think we hit that number. I'm thinking about getting crazy and betting Matt Schnell. If I'm betting Matt Schnell, it's by decision. I don't think he's going to finish Astro Boy. Matt Schnell by decision is plus 600. I don't hate that. Now, Urseg by decision, I don't remember what it is. I'd rather just bet the over 1.5, to be honest with you. I think this over hit. So the pick's going to be Matt Schnell. And I think no matter who wins, I think it's going to hit that over 1.5. I know you love flyweight unders. The world does. But it's under 1.5, not 2.5. Plot twist. Give me the over. Next fight of the night. You talk about big favorites. We have Umar Nurmagomedov at minus 1,200. Minus fucking 1,200. Going up against Bezkat Alkmakin at plus 750. Over under also set at 1.5. Over 1.5 minus 210. Under 1.5 at plus 160. God, let's just start with cousin Umar, the person that everyone labels as the best bantamweight in the world right now. Honestly, I think it's patchy mix, but people love Umar. Umar, the reason they like him and say he's the best is because he's 16-0. He's 28 years, sorry, yeah, 28 years old. He has good jiu-jitsu. He has good striking. He has great wrestling. He's very hard to hit. That's the thing. Really, really ungodly distance control, throws that question mark kick like a jab. It kind of honestly his distance and his jetting in and out, it really reminds me of Bobby Knuckles, minus the question mark. It's like Saeed Nurmagomedov's question mark kick with Bobby Knuckles striking. Like it's very in and out, just jetting it. It's very Bobby Knuckles reminiscent. He blitzes in and then he gets out before you can touch him. He has decent cardio. Yeah, he doesn't really get tired. He slows down a touch, but he's perfectly fine. Yeah, man, it's Habib wrestling with Robert Whitaker striking. That's Umar. It's fucking nasty. He's good. He's damn good. Could very well be the champ by the end of the year. On the other side, though, don't sleep on Bezcat. He's good, man. I went back, I watched his tape. I'm like 17-1 from Kazakhstan. He's probably okay. No, his tape was impressive. He has good striking. He has okay jujitsu, although his only loss is by sub. So cousin Umar's probably staring at that. He's only 26 years old, so he's going to keep getting better and better each time out. But he's predominantly a striker, and he's wiry. That's the only way I can describe this guy. He has really good takedown defense, and the few times I did see him get taken down, I know I say people are urgent to get back up. This guy, this guy is the definition of urgency. If you get him down for 1 second, he is doing everything he can to get back on the feet, and I respect that. Like he does not accept bottom. He might be the most wiry fighter I've ever fight taped. He does not accept bottom. That's going to be interesting. He's fighting a wrestler in Umar. Now, the thing with Bezcat is I have seen him dropped a few times. So although he's never been knocked out, he has a little bit of that Usman chin thing going on where you see him dropped every fight, but he just it's like a wake up call to him, and then he fights better and harder. He has okay wins, fighting over at good regional scenes over at Octagon. That's a good regional scene. I talked about UAE Warriors. That's a good regional scene. He has really good cardio. He doesn't get tired. He just keeps going and going and going. So I don't know, man. He's good everywhere, but now that I'm really looking at it, you look at Shavkat and you're like, man, these guys from Kazakhstan are nasty. I don't know, man. As Matt lost against Charles Johnson, I had him as a lock and he let me down. You look at Sergey Murazov, like he's a good fighter, but is he ever going to be champ? You look at God, what was the guy that got all the split decision losses at flyweight? My God. Zumagulov, Zalgas Zumagulov from Kazakhstan. He's the same thing. They're all good everywhere. They're all good wrestlers. They're all good strikers. They're all very durable. They're all the same fucking fighter. Like they all fight exactly the same, and they're beatable in the UFC. So I like Bezcat. I think he's going to be a player. I think he's going to get a lot of wins in the UFC. I just don't think it's against Cousin Umar. So the pick is going to be Cousin Umar. You can't bet him at minus 1200. So then you play that game. Is he going to be able to get the sub like the only other guy to beat Bezcat? Sorry, Brexit. Or is he gonna go to decision because this guy's so wiry? I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe he just goes out there and knocks him out. Who fucking knows? I know it's gonna be a popular pick for him to be the over. So you know what? I will just take the fight. I don't know. I hate this fight. I really just want to fade it completely. I'll pick Cousin Umar. If anything, I'm gonna take the over 1.5. Take the over 1.5, but I'm not betting this fight. I'm staying away from it. Next fight of the night. We got three more fights left. We have Alex Perez at plus 285 going up against Muhammad Mukayev at minus 360. Over under at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 125, under 2.5 at minus 105. Let's start with Muhammad Mukayev. He's 10-0, and I think he's the most overrated fighter in the UFC. He's 23 years old and he's fighting like it, and everyone's ignoring it. He has good wrestling. He doesn't have a 4.5-inch reach advantage here. That surprises me. But his striking's ass, and he's throwing 1.9 significant strikes per minute. 1.9. He is a flyweight, and he's throwing less than 2 significant strikes per minute. That is atrocious. He has okay cardio. People said it was like unstoppable. That's not true. I've seen him slow down multiple times. It's okay. Yeah, he just has the lowest volume I've ever seen from a flyweight. And here's the one no one's talking about. Crazy. As Build is such a great wrestler, he has 0% takedown defense. And it's not like it's, 0 for 1. Tim Elliott took him down twice. Malcolm Gordon took him down. Anyone that has shot a takedown got it on Muhammad Makayev. That's concerning. Like, if he fights a good wrestler, he might be in a little bit of trouble because the dude can't strike. He is a god awful striker. And when he's on the ground, he's a definition of position versus submission. He will hold you. He doesn't throw strikes. He gets warned about getting stood up all the fucking time. He takes you down and he holds you as hard as he can. You look at the Charles Johnson fight, he had like 15 takedowns, and he couldn't do anything with it. Charles kept getting up. Tim Elliott got caught when he went for a takedown. Jafelt, and you look at his last few fights, man. Malcolm Gordon was winning that fight. You should not be losing to Malcolm Gordon. And then he caught him in an armbar in the last minute of the fight. Fiallo, he went out there and dominated for like 12 minutes, and they got his knee literally ripped off. Like, he got caught in a submission. Tim Elliott had him in at least 3 guillotines that might have finished other men. This dude's submission defense is unreal. Like, he has good jiu-jitsu. I'll give him really good jiu-jitsu. His wrestling offensively, really good. Wrestling defensively, trash. Striking, trash. Cardio's okay. This guy is not any. People are talking about him getting a title fight if he wins. Not ready. Alexander Pantoja will eat his lunch. Like, he will hurt this kid. He might end his career. Don't do that to him. He is not ready. And honestly, he may not be ready for Alex Perez if Perez makes it to the fight. Perez is 31 years old, and just like we said, might be an issue for Makayev. Perez is a good wrestler. Perez has a wrestling background. He's rocking a 77% takedown defense, so damn near 80%. Very hard to take him down. Unlike Makayev, he can wrestle and he can strike. He has good striking. He has good leg kicks, are what he's really known for. His jiu-jitsu, he's a credentialed jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's a black belt. He has a ton of submission wins. Now, I will tell you, he got choked out 5 times. He has 7 losses, and 5 of them are by submission, so that doesn't look good. And the major concern I have with him is in the last 3 years, he's accumulated 3.5 minutes of fight time. 3.5 minutes. Why? Because he has 10 over the last 3 years, 10 canceled fights. He has effectively fought twice, and he got choked out by the champion in a title fight. Davidson Figueroa had 6 fights canceled, finally gets a fight back, and it's Alexandre Pantoja, the current flyweight champion. So he fought 2 champions, and he got choked out in 1:50 and 1:30. 3.5 minutes over 3.5 years. Not good. Not good at all. So what we're looking at and what we're remembering is how dominant he looked against Josier Formiga back in 2020, 4 years ago. How great he looked against Jordan Espinoza, who's no longer in the UFC, back in 2020. Mark De La Rosa, who's no longer in the UFC, back in 2019. Like, these guys, these wins, they're not aging well. But he's good on paper, and he did what he didn't just win. He went out there and dominated them in round 1. Like, this guy is the real deal when healthy. But one, he always misses weight, or he always gets hurt, and he just never makes it to the fight. His job is on the line. I feel like if he cancels or he pulls out of this fight, the UFC will cut him. If he loses this fight to Makayev, that'll be 3 in a row. He never fights. The UFC will cut him. If he doesn't make it and he doesn't win, he will be cut by the UFC. Period. If he goes out there and wins, he will stay in title contention. So this is crazy. This man's ceiling is as high as a title fight in his next fight. But if he loses, he's guaranteed to get cut. Title fight win, cut loss. Jesus Christ. I'm going to have to go with him at plus 285. This line is fucked. If he takes down Muhammad Makayev, he can stay safe. I don't see Makayev taking him off his back. I do not see him subbing him off his back. If he gets taken down by Makayev, I know he's been subbed quickly the last 2. But those are against the 2 champs. Those are the champs. I think he'll be fine against a 23-year-old kid. I think he can get back up. And if they're forced to strike, he will kill Makayev. So, striking advantage, Perez. Wrestling advantage, tie. Jiu-jitsu advantage, tie. Cardio advantage, tie. But one is a plus 285 dog. What the fuck sense does that make? Pick is going to be Alex Perez. Bet's going to be Alex Perez. Next fight of the night. It's the co-main event of the evening. We have Vitor Petrino at minus 305 going up against Tyson Pedro at plus 245. Over under at 1.5. Over 1.5 minus 135. Under 1.5 at plus 105. Let's start with Tyson Pedro because I think he's trash. I don't think he's good at all. He hits very hard. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so he's actually really good on the ground that no one talks about. His wrestling's not terrible. It's pretty good. No, honestly, he's very strong, physically imposing. Um, he's fine. The problem with him is he has 52% takedown defense, so his defensive wrestling is not good, and his cardio's ass. His cardio falls off a cliff after 5 minutes. He has 5 minutes to finish you, or he's done. And when you look at his record, he finished Anton Takarli, the Pleasure Man, the GOAT. I love the Pleasure Man. Finished him in 2 minutes. Mendesis Bukakis was able to survive the first round, and guess what? Tyson Pedro lost. And Harry Hunsucker, who was the worst signing the UFC ever had, knocked him out in 1 minute. Ike Villanueva, who's the second worst UFC signing they've ever had, knocked him out in 4 minutes. Mauricio Shogun Hua was able to survive. Again, this is 2018 Hua, which is still old as fuck. It's like 35, 37 at that point. Was able to survive the first round and got the win. OSP was able to just straight arm lock him in the first round. That's questionable. Safarov, he went out there and he submitted in 3 minutes into round one. Alir Latifi was able to survive round one. Pedro lost. Paul Craig, he knocked out first round. Khalil Roundtree, he submitted round one. All of his wins, all 10 of his wins, round one. All four fights where it went into round two, loss. Not a coincidence. This guy's a definition of a front runner. On the other side, we have Vitor Petrino. He's only 26 years old, so he's improving every time we see him. My thing is, Pedro's a front runner. He has terrible cardio, and he's low-key a little chinny. Vitor Petrino is basically a carbon copy. He's a front runner. Most of his wins are in the first round. He's a little chinny, too. Let's not forget that Bellato rocked his shit. Let's not forget that Anton Takarli, Pleasure Man, common opponent, had him in serious trouble. Let's not forget Marcin Prokhnio racked him. Like, this man has been hurt multiple times. Like, out of his last 4 fights, he's been hurt 3 times. So very concerning. He hits hard, just like Tyson Pedro. His jiu-jitsu's okay. Definitely advantage Tyson Pedro. Wrestling wise, it's pretty much a wash. But this Petrino's an athletic freak, man. He is in slow motion. Everything's very, very slow but fast at the same time. It's very like methodical and lethargic type, but it's fast. It's very confusing. The biggest problem with him, and he has 68% takedown defense. I don't like that going against Tyson Pedro. So he might be a little chinny, might have some bad wrestling, but he hits hard. This dude's power is insane. He loves to counter. He loves to go forward as well. My major concern with Petrino is his fight IQ. This dude's undefeated, and I think he has the worst fight IQ ever. It's bad. Rodolfo Bellato, again, he got rocked and continued to get into a war, but ended up ultimately winning and knocking out Bellato because Bellato's also Jenny. But if you get cracked like that, you should start to wrestle. Instead, he just kept swinging even harder. Anton Takarli the Pleasure Man is a grappler. He went out there and got 7 takedowns. Why is he wrestling against someone that just wants to play jiu-jitsu? He got reversed multiple times. He almost got rear naked choked and got his first career loss because he wanted to grapple with the grappler. So what did he do? His next fight, Marcin Prokhnio, all of his previous losses, his last like 5 losses, all by KO. Vitor Petrino, one of the hardest hitters in the weight class. What does Petrino do? Grapples. He subbed him in round 3. Why did he not just knock him out? I have absolutely no idea. Modestus Bukakis, terrible grappling, zero jiu-jitsu. He's predominantly just a counter striker. What did he do? He went out there and only struck with Modestus. He does whatever you're not supposed to do. So I am petrified he's going to go down there and take down Tyson Pedro. Because if you're him, you want to go out there. And Tyson Pedro probably wants us on the ground. That's where his advantage is. Petrino might just take him there for him. I cannot trust Petrino's fight IQ. Not at minus 300. I fucking hate Tyson Pedro. I don't think he's good. Vitor, not much better. I think he's a little overrated. I said I was looking to fade him. I don't know if this is the time, I don't think I should. I'll pick Vitor Petrino, but I think the only bet I'll have on here is shooting for the stars. Let's look at Tyson Pedro by sub. He has a lot of submission wins. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Pedro by sub is plus 1,000. Those odds ain't right. So I'm going to take Vitor Petrino. If anything, I'm going to bet Pedro by sub, throw a Hail Mary out there, and call it a day. And then that takes us to the main event. If you haven't already, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Make sure you hit the subscribe, give a follow over on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Hell, share the video. We're trying to win everyone money at the Stats and Stacks podcast. We have Jairzinho Rozenstruik at plus 135 going up against Shamil Gaziev at minus 160. Over under at 1.5. Over 1.5 is plus 140. Under 1.5 is minus 180. A lot of that is because of Shamil Gaziev. Basically, all of that. He's 12-0. I talked about CLD having a weird background being a British basketball player. Shamil said, "Hold my beer." He is a Dagestani volleyball player. Habib's dad discovered him at a volleyball tournament. Like, that's sketchy. He has good striking. He has okay striking, but he just really relies on his power. He has okay wrestling, but again, it's not like he grew up doing it in the mountains. He was predominantly a volleyball player, so he knows what he's doing striking. He knows what he's doing wrestling, but he's not the greatest at it. He's just freakishly strong. Same with his jiu-jitsu. He has a few sub wins. We saw him get a sub win in Dana White Contender Series against Greg Velasco. But I'm so off of Gaziev that I bet Velasco there. I bet Boudet. I keep trying to fade this guy because his cardio's ass. His cardio's very bad. And you look at him, all of his wins. We're talking about Tyson Pedro round one. All of these guys, all of his wins are round one, except for his last fight against Boudet was 50 seconds in the round two. And then he has a win 40 seconds in the round two. All the rest are round one. It's just not good, man. He's not good. He's strong. Even his amateur scene, he has a loss via rear naked choke. And then he has another loss in here via decision because he had to go 15 minutes and he can't physically do it. This is a 5-round fight. This guy is the definition of a front runner. If he doesn't go out there and finish Rozenstruik in the first round or the first 2 minutes in the round two, he will have nothing left. Like, I promise you, he has that 6 to 7 minutes of cardio max. He cannot physically go 25 minutes. He will die of exhaustion. He cannot go 25 minutes. He has 7 minutes to get the job done. Rozenstruik, on the other hand, he can go 25. You're not going to get a ton from him. He does not throw a lot of volume, but he throws a ton of power. He throws a ton of heat. He has good striking. He prefers to counter. He has 73% takedown defense. He does struggle a little there. But I mean, he fought Curtis Blades. He fought Jailton Almeida. Those are good wrestlers, so it is what it is. Yeah, I'll start Overeem. We'll try to take you down. The thing with him is, even though he's a really good striker, he is hittable. And I don't like that. A lot of that is because of how low volume he is. You're always going to be a little hittable if you fight people like Volkov and people like Cyril Gahn, and you're just a sitting duck out there. He's also a little chinny. Francis Ngannou, I mean, obviously Francis hits like a truck, but he put him out in 20 seconds. Curtis Blades dropped him. Or no, he dropped Curtis Blades, sorry. Which one? Junior Dos Santos dropped him. We saw Alexander Volkov go out there and drop him. Like, you can get hurt out there, okay? So let's not get it twisted. But you look at Chris Dawkins, you look at the Augusta Sakai, you look at even the Junior Dos Santos. He only needs one, and he's putting you out. Everyone's going to think about his win over Alistair Overeem, where he got dominated for, honestly, 5 rounds, and then knocked him out with 4 seconds left in the fight. 4 seconds left in the fight, still had the fight-ending power, and you just remember Alistair's lip literally exploded. He hit him so hard, Alistair's lip exploded. In round 5, 24 minutes into the fight, this man is still making people's faces explode. He hits hard. If he cracks Gaziev, Gaziev is going down. And God forbid this fight makes it into round 2 or 3. Gaziev is a sitting duck and he's going out. Again, I don't believe in Rozenstruik. He has very low volume, which scares me because Gaziev pressures forward and swings. But if Rozenstruik can survive, he knows that's what's coming. He's training at ATT now. He's at a good camp. He's fine. He loves to counter. Gaziev's going to give him a lot of chances to counter. He's fought the better level of competition. He's fought nothing but killers. I think he's good, man. Yes, he has some L's. He has a lot of L's. Francis Ngannou, former champ. Cyril Gane, former champ. Curtis Blades, former #1 contender. Alexander Volkov, perennial top 5 guy. Gelton Almeida is one fight away from a title fight. Like, these are literally top 5 guys or champions. That's who he's lost to. Gaziev is fighting on the regional scene and fighting Greg Velasquez. So let's hope Rozenstruik's chin can hold up. I'm going to pick Rozenstruik. I'm going to bet Rozenstruik and trust the vet. We just saw it with Joe Pyfer. He went out there, he fought. Everyone was concerned about his first 5-round fight, and he ended up losing to the vet. We could see it here again. And that is UFC Vegas 87. A lot of short notice, a lot of weird things going on here, a lot of weird lines. But at the end of the day, it's a free card. It's early. It's at 1:30, so please don't forget. Don't miss the card. It could potentially be a good one. There's a lot of chalk, but there's a lot of money to be made. Let's get it.